The life we see around us has been shaped over many years of development. If we trace this development back to its origin, we will find that it all began in the depths of the oceans on Earth. When carbon, proteins, and amino acids reacted for the first time, unicellular life was born. This single-celled organism was called bacteria. As these small organisms continued to evolve, they gradually took the form of larger organisms. Now, the thing to think about is, did this event happen only on our planet? At that time, our planet had all the elements necessary for the formation of a single cell. Many bodies outside the solar system also contain H2O or water in some form, whether it's in the form of large ice rocks or as vast oceans flowing on the surface. Now let's come back to our hypothesis that just like the event that happened in the depths of Earth's oceans where life began to emerge, could something similar have happened on those bodies in the solar system where the conditions seem similar to our Earth? And we are going to see whether there is water present on them and if there is life in that water. Let's start with our closest reference, which is currently within our reach, and there is also hope that what we are searching for might exist here. It is believed that 3.5 billion years ago, the moon had a proper atmosphere and there was also liquid water flowing on its surface. But now the land here appears barren. Although water is still present here, finding it in the form it exists is a big challenge in itself. These are images of a crater on the moon, which were taken by the Moon Mineralogy Mapper that was taken to the moon along with Indian Space Research Organization is Chandrayaan-1. The data obtained from this confirmed that a large amount of water is present in some of the craters on the moon. In 2024, National Aeronautics and Space Administration is going to launch a mission called the Polar Resources Ice Mining Experiment. The objective of this mission will be to investigate the presence of water on the moon and to see whether this water is usable or not. Now, let's move a little beyond the moon. No, what you are seeing is not our planet. In fact, this is Mars from millions of years ago. On its surface, a precious thing is flowing, which in the language of chemistry is called H2O. But the Mars we see today doesn't look like that to us. When we look at Mars through a telescope, it appears as a red sphere. And when we land on its surface, all we can see for miles is barren land. Where did all of Mars's water go? National Aeronautics and Space Administration is Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter has been studying Mars for almost 18 years now. The data obtained from this has helped scientists properly understand the history of water on Mars. According to scientists' research, about 2 to 2.5 billion years ago, rivers of water used to flow on Mars. But over time, its atmosphere kept getting weaker and its water gradually decreased. As water molecules, it got lost somewhere in space. Some of it dried up because of our sun's solar winds, and today this planet looks completely barren. In 2018, scientists from the Italian Space Agency discovered a subglacial lake. It was found 15 kilometers beneath the southern polar ice cap on Mars. It's a very large lake. This is the first stable body discovered on Mars where there is a high possibility of water existing in liquid form. The temperature here is minus 68 degrees Celsius, but due to the anti-freezing effect of magnesium and calcium perchlorate, it is possible for the water in the lake to remain in liquid form. Now, if we go a little further from Mars, the next body in the solar system where we can hope to find some water would be found. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons orbiting in its orbit, generates some heat due to its orbital and rotational energy. This is called tidal flexing, and because of this, the water present beneath Europa's surface is able to remain in its liquid form. Many space missions sent to study Jupiter have also studied Europa extensively. Based on the data we have received so far and the research that has been done, it seems highly likely that beneath Europa's surface, which is completely made of ice, there could be a huge ocean of liquid water. Now, this can only be confirmed when we send a major mission to Europa and study it thoroughly. But still, Europa is on the list of celestial bodies where we can hope that there will be liquid water. If you want to know more about Europa, you can read the article given in the description. Now let's go a little further in the solar system to look for water. This time, we don't need to go too far from the planet. Because in the orbit of Jupiter's neighbor Saturn, there is a moon where there is a possibility of liquid water. The name of this moon is Enceladus. In 2005, data received from the Cassini spacecraft provided some evidence of water here. And in 2010, gravitational data also confirmed that there is a subsurface ocean present here. Exoplanets. We have already talked about those bodies that are present within our solar system and have the possibility of containing water. But now let's move outside our solar system and take a look at the planets orbiting in this infinite universe. For many years, scientists have been searching for planets outside the solar system that could be like our Earth. The search for planets where the essential elements for life might exist is done using telescopes, and there is also a possibility that life could develop in water there because we only have telescopic data about these planets. We can't say anything for sure, but whenever we search for water in the universe of these exoplanets, and scientists also believe that there could be many other elements of life in this water. Kepler 22b is one such exoplanet, and there is a very high possibility of liquid water on it because its temperature is just right to keep water in liquid form. Its temperature is about 22 degrees Celsius. This not only boosts the chances of water being present, but also lets life thrive comfortably at this temperature. So far, our space technology is not advanced enough for us to go beyond the solar system and research planets in other star systems. Right now, we have to rely only on telescopes to research such planets, but the progress of science never stops. And in the future, it might definitely be possible for us to search for elements of life on planets present in interstellar space as well. Life, about which our basic understanding says that carbon-based life exists on our Earth, right? In the same way, it's possible that somewhere else in this infinite universe, carbon-based life could also exist. However, the topic of silicon-based life is also widely discussed in the world of astronomy. However, if we talk about the kind of life that we understand well, it's the carbon-based life found on our Earth. We have studied concepts like the psychology, biology, and evolution of life found on Earth, but how it all began is still not clear. But most scientists believe that water is something that has played a crucial role in the advancement of life on Earth. We believe that early life developed in water and then gradually evolved out of the water onto land. Even today, whenever we search for life somewhere, the first thing we look for is water molecules, because we know that water is essential everywhere, from the origin of life to its development. If we find water on any celestial body, then the chances of finding life on that body increase significantly. If we talk about our solar system after Earth, the place where the most water has been found is Europa, which is a moon of Jupiter. However, it is believed that this moon might have even more water than our Earth. Apart from this, water has also been discovered on our own moon, but so far we haven't found any signs of life anywhere. But recently, an international team of astronomers announced their discovery and said that they have made a very important discovery in terms of water and life. Actually, this team has discovered a binary star system in the Draco constellation about 100 light years away from our Earth. This binary star system itself is not that important, but what is important is something that is orbiting one of its stars. This planet, which is named Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Object of Interest 1452b. Yes, scientists estimate that this planet is just a little bit bigger than our Earth in size, and you could say it's just a little bit heavier as well. It is also located at just the right distance from its parent star, not too hot and not too cold. Its atmosphere is just perfect to sustain liquid water, but even this doesn't make this planet special. What makes it special is the water present on this planet. Yes, there is water everywhere on this planet, much more than you and I can even imagine, and that's why astronomers are calling this planet the ocean planet. So let's talk in detail about this unique one. On August 12, 2022, we learned about this unique exoplanet from an article published in the Astronomical Journal. Professor René Doyon from Montreal University and the director of Observatory to Mont Magnetic or Observatory to Mont Magnetic and IREX says that she is very proud of this discovery. This discovery shows how capable our researchers and our instruments are. And then she thanks Observatory to Mont Magnetic, which is a special instrument without which this exoplanet might not have been discovered. For this discovery, data from National Aeronautics and Space Administration's own space telescope Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite was analyzed. Based on the signal from Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, the star's brightness was seen to dim every 11 days. This made it clear that every 11 days a planet was passing between that star and us. The planet was confirmed, but based on the decrease in brightness, it was found that the planet orbiting that star is about 70% bigger than our Earth. After this, the radius of this newly discovered planet was determined using the optical monitor instrument, and the nature of this planet was also studied in depth because the scientists had to make sure that what they had discovered was really an exoplanet and not something else. So, during this investigation, the scientists found out that the host star which this exoplanet was orbiting is much smaller than our Sun. The name of this parent star is Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Object of Interest 1452, and actually this star is a part of a binary star system. In this, two stars are orbiting each other. The distance between both stars is about 97 astronomical units, which is almost 2.5 times greater than the distance between our Sun and Pluto. This distance isn't that much, but the distance of this entire binary system from us is quite large. That's why the TESS telescope has seen both these stars as a single point. However, the PASTO camera attached to the OM instrument is so sensitive that it was able to identify both stars as separate objects. A team from Japan also made an observation of this binary system in which they confirmed this planet. As for the discovered exoplanet, this exoplanet, Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Object of Interest 1452, is also probably, it could be a rocky planet like our Earth, but its radius, mass and density suggest that it is a completely different world. Our Earth is largely a dry planet, although it's also true that we call Earth the blue planet because of the water found on it. The reason for this is that about 70% of Earth's surface is covered by water, but if we look at the mass of the Earth, the water present on Earth is only about 1% of its total mass, which we consider negligible. But when it comes to this exoplanet, about 30% of Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Object of Interest 1452b's total mass is water. So just imagine for yourself how much water there is on this exoplanet. Earth has only 1%, while this exoplanet has 30%, and on top of that, it's also quite big in size, but there's a major problem with this planet as well. Let's understand what that problem is. Scientists believe that there are some exoplanets where we can find water in abundance, and in recent years, scientists have discovered several such exoplanets whose size lies somewhere between our Earth and Neptune. But among these, we have found quite a few planets whose density can only be explained by the fact that their outer layer is made of light materials such as water, and these hypothetical worlds are called ocean planets. Although scientists haven't just given this name to these planets without reason, calculations and research work also support this ocean world hypothesis, and in the same way, Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite Object of Interest 1452 is also one of the best candidates for such an ocean world. Its lower density forces us to conclude that we should assume this planet is mostly made of water. Otherwise, metals and rocks like those on Earth could also exist on this planet. Studies show that this exoplanet appears to be quite similar to Jupiter's moons Ganymede and Callisto, and Saturn's moons Titan and Enceladus in our solar system in terms of having about 30% water proportion. So the problem is that we don't know for sure whether it is really made of water or some other light substance. Scientists don't deny this possibility either. However, this exoplanet is located quite close to Earth. So this newly operational James Webb Space Telescope can also be used to analyze it, and it's possible that Webb could open new doors of possibilities. Researcher René Doyen says that observing it with the telescope is necessary to understand transiting exoplanet survey satellite object of interest 1452b in an even better way. And as soon as this becomes possible, he will definitely book time on the Webb telescope to observe this mysterious world. He says that even if it doesn't turn out to be an ocean world, it's still an excellent target to study. Because it falls right between the category of super Earth and sub-Neptune, it will help us understand exoplanets even better. Planet. Neptune is the outermost planet in our solar system, although before 2006 this title belonged to Pluto. But after the decision of the International Astronomical Union, Pluto was removed from the category of planets, and Neptune once again became the last planet of our solar system. If we look at its distance from the Sun, it is about 28 billion miles, and you can get an idea of this distance from the fact that it takes about 1,648 Earth years to orbit the Sun. This is one of the main reasons this planet remains so mysterious to us. This planet, orbiting billions of miles away from the Sun in the pitch darkness of space, still poses many questions for us today. It is said that in 1612 Galileo Galilei also saw Neptune. We find a lot of evidence of his observations, but he thought it was a star, and in this way he never noticed Neptune again. For about 200 years after that, no one knew about it and no one had seen Neptune. No one even tried to discover it. After that, in 1821, Alexis Bouvard noticed some deviations in Uranus's orbit while studying it. And in his conclusion, Bouvard hypothesized that there must be another large planet existing beyond Uranus. Bouvard had almost discovered Neptune through his calculations, but it still hadn't been observed in reality. In 1843, John Couch Adams was also studying the orbit of Uranus. By 1846, his calculations were also pointing towards a new planet. Apart from this, another scientist, Urbain Le Verrier, was also independently doing his calculations, and all of their calculations were pointing towards an unknown planet, which was yet to be discovered. And finally, near the location indicated by Le Verrier, John Gottfried Galle discovered that mystery planet. September 23, 1846 was the day when the centuries-old mystery of the last planet ended, and we found the 8th planet, Neptune. Now, one mystery had been solved, but many more questions still remained. In terms of diameter, this planet is the 4th largest in our solar system. Neptune is the 3rd heaviest and the densest among the gas planets. If we compare it to our Earth, Neptune's mass is equal to 17 Earths, just a little heavier than its neighbor, Uranus. Neptune is an ice giant planet, which is completely made up of gas, liquid, and ice. At this far end of the solar system, sunlight is very faint, and that's why the temperature here remains very low. The methane present on Neptune vibrates in a special pattern because of this, and that's why we see Neptune's iconic blue color. Actually, this planet got its name as the god of the sea because of its blue color. But just knowing this much about Neptune was not enough. We only had the information about Neptune that we obtained through calculations and observations made here on Earth. But there was something happening in Neptune's atmosphere that was probably surprising to scientists. Firstly, this planet was so far away, and on top of that, the lack of information made it even more mysterious. Now we needed to get even closer to this planet so that we could find out what exactly was happening in Neptune's atmosphere. In 1977, National Aeronautics and Space Administration launched two twin spacecraft named Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. These were specifically designed to study the outer planets of our solar system, and after completing this study, they were supposed to head towards interstellar space. About 12 years later, in 1989, the Voyager spacecraft performed a flyby of Neptune, and we got to see the first clear image of Neptune. This was the first time we had seen Neptune so clearly. After this, the Hubble Space Telescope also studied Neptune, but although the Hubble images had a lot of data, they weren't very clear. Voyager's images remained the clearest images of Neptune for almost 30 years. But the James Webb Space Telescope, launched in December 2021, completely changed this whole picture, and here is James Webb Space Telescope. This image of Neptune taken by Dora nearly 30 years after Voyager changed our entire perspective of Neptune thanks to the Webb Telescope. Near. In this image taken by the infrared camera, we can see Neptune and every object around it. In this image, Neptune looks dark instead of blue, showing a deep color. This is because of methane gas. Methane gas absorbs infrared light, and that's why Neptune appears dark. But along with this, there are also some bright spots in the image, which are clouds of methane gas and ice present on Neptune. Also, for the first time, we saw Neptune's ring system in the photos, and that too so clearly because there have been many questions raised before about Neptune's ring system. Does Neptune really have any rings or not? This confusion remained among people for quite some time because Neptune is so far from us that its rings are not visible in normal observations. The bright lines in the lake's center symbolize the planet's terrible destruction. Yes, these are the fastest winds in this solar system blowing on Neptune. Storms are always forming here. Just imagine the terrifying emptiness of space, and on top of that, these storms of Neptune. Hardly anyone would dare to go here in such conditions. Do you think any space probe could survive on Neptune in such conditions? Although these winds are still nothing. The biggest mystery of Neptune is this. In fact, if it's called one of the greatest mysteries of the solar system, it wouldn't be wrong. This is the Great Dark Spot. These mysterious dark spots were first observed by Voyager 2 in 1989. The dark spot present in Neptune's southern hemisphere looked very similar to Jupiter's Great Red Spot. The dark spot present in Neptune's southern hemisphere looked similar to Jupiter's dark spot. The dark spot present in Neptune's southern hemisphere looked like Jupiter's dark spot. Neptune's dark spot looked just like Jupiter's dark spot. Was this the only thing we observed, or do these anomalies keep happening on Neptune? The storm observed by Hubble was the largest storm ever seen on Neptune. After all, how do these storms form on Neptune? How do they suddenly disappear and then appear somewhere else? This makes one thing clear: Neptune's southern hemisphere is present. It looked just like a dark spot and it was moving. In this new image from James Webb, you can see a green light. It's really quite beautiful, but this light isn't a bright star or something more mysterious. It's the same glow present in Neptune's southern hemisphere. It actually wasn't formed near Neptune, but it's a Kuiper belt object that Neptune captured with its gravity, and Triton's extremely elliptical orbit is solid evidence of this. Many scientists also believe that there could be a possibility of life on Triton, just like on Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Titan and Enceladus. So in this sense, this moon becomes even more special. It's possible that there could be a liquid ocean beneath the surface of this moon as well, where life could be thriving beyond our sight. Anything is possible because nature has always amazed us humans. We are amazed once again when we imagine a mysterious planet that exists even farther than Neptune, a large and gigantic planet that is playing hide and seek with us in this darkness-filled space. It's possible that we might hear some new news about this planet from James Webb as well, but if you want us to cover this topic too, be sure to let us know in the comments. By the way, there are many mysteries. Even today, we are still surrounded by questions about Neptune. Hopefully, with James Webb, we will soon be able to discover something new and find better answers to our questions. In this infinite universe, the things that give birth to life are spread everywhere. A great example of this can be seen during the rainy season. You must have noticed that as soon as it rains, new kinds of creatures start to emerge all around, whether it's these frogs jumping around in the rainwater or the countless insects settling in the open air. Truly, the birth of this universe came with limitless possibilities for life to flourish, the results of which we can see today. The very planet we exist on, Earth, is also a reaction to this action. In such a situation, the question arises before us: if life truly exists in the particles of this universe, then why hasn't our search reached its conclusion yet? Why, even after decades of efforts, are our hands still empty? Well, all these mysteries can be solved by our neighboring planet, Mars, and we are about to take you on a journey there. In the meantime, we will find out what exactly happened in the past that suddenly wiped out life from this lush green planet, and what really happened to those creatures. Those who used to live on Mars, did they also perish in the catastrophe that struck Mars? Or is the life we see on Earth today descended from those Martians? To find answers to all these questions and to get updates about Mars, be sure to watch this documentary till the end. Before we talk about Mars and the evidence of ancient life there, let's discuss something first. Let's look at the strange and complex equation of life in this infinite universe. It also travels from one place to another. We will discuss the possibility of life transferring from Mars to Earth later. So, for now, the important issue for us is the formation of Mars and the origin of life there. This star gave birth to this dust cloud. This star was quite large and hot in size. Because it was in its early stage, it underwent many internal and external changes, and due to those changes, our planets were formed. Now, obviously, when our planets were formed, the hydrogen and helium present in them, being lighter, rose up, and gases like nitrogen and oxygen settled on the surface. However, the development of the solar system happened in two different stages, one of which gave birth. Yes, even before Earth, life emerged on Mars. Mars was the planet that had cooled down after extinguishing the heat received from the sun. There, the temperature was perfectly suitable for the origin of life. In such a situation, the factors that support life first emerged here. Today, we are searching the entire planet Mars for those very factors. Yes, we are talking about Martian water, which 200 million years ago existed on the surface of Mars in the form of lakes, oceans, and rivers. Theories suggest that on any planet, life first begins in the form of these bacteria, and then this bacterial life grows through different biological variations. So, this advanced civilization must have reached the lands. And then, with the passage of time, they must have evolved into highly intelligent and sensible beings similar to humans. But here, we clip the wings of your imagination and bring it down to the scale of reality. Actually, Mars's life experience was never that thrilling, nor did it ever witness so many stages. Actually, the end of this story happened much before we ever imagined. When this microbial form of life was thriving in Mars's reservoirs, something suddenly happened that completely wiped out life from the planet. Actually, that incident was the collision of an asteroid with Mars, which destroyed the life that was developing on Mars. This hypothesis suggests a fast-moving asteroid suddenly enters Mars's atmosphere, and in just a moment, it crashes into its surface, creating a scene of destruction that's hard to even imagine. This collision was so intense that it created a huge crater in an area as large as the United States. A lot of material present on the surface of Mars, ranging from fine dust particles to massive rocks, shattered and broke apart. A cloud of dust rose into the sky, covering the entire Mars under its shadow. In the absence of sunlight, complete darkness spread over the entire planet Mars. The life-supporting factors that had developed over thousands of years of living processes now slowly began to die. And now this story fast forwards to our present day. Today, Mars is a lifeless and barren planet. There is no air to breathe here, nor any water to quench your thirst, and imagining life here is almost impossible. We live on the bigger piece today, and we call the smaller piece the moon. While this collision destroyed life on Mars, on Earth, the same collision made life flourish. Meanwhile, on Mars, a scene resembling a graveyard was unfolding. But as they say, even the smallest ray of light is enough to pierce through the darkness. With just such a ray of light, Mars too began its transformation. After the devastating collision with the asteroid, something happened here once again, which forced Mars to breathe again. And this time, the beginning of life started here. The collisions in the past with the volcanoes present on Mars had wiped out all the water from the surface of Mars, but beneath the surface, there was still groundwater. That means there were still many sources of groundwater left, and this groundwater, after coming into contact with volcanoes, turned into steam and escaped into Mars' atmosphere. In this situation, Mars' atmosphere flourished again. Clouds formed and water rained down to the ground once more. After that, once again, those microbacteria started to form, but only if they could keep themselves warm. In such a situation, the second phase of life there also ended soon. But on the other hand, everything was changing on Earth. Here, what had never happened before was happening. Clouds were forming, rain was falling, living beings had started to be born, and plants had also begun to spread their roots. Now from here, Earth only needed another 7 million years. The core of planet Mars, home to the most intelligent and wise beings of this creation, had cooled down. As a result, over time, Mars's magnetic field also started to weaken, and as it got weaker, a moment came when this magnetic field became completely inactive. After that, the result was that all the rivers and lakes on Mars dried up completely, and just like that, billions of years ago, this lush green planet was completely destroyed and turned into a wasteland. But this process of Mars turning into a graveyard was already underway. There were rivers, lakes, and oceans just like on Earth, which eventually disappeared over time. The cracks formed by water seepage and river basins still loudly testify to this fact today. These are what we now call ancient rivers, inside which a huge reservoir of water has been found, and the interesting thing is that this water is in a liquid state. So is this a sign of life on Mars or just evidence of destruction? We'll find out all about this in today's episode. Friends, today water is seen as one of the most vital elements for life. Finding liquid water on any celestial body is seen as significant. That's already a 50% confirmation of the presence of life there. In fact, this is the reason why, after Earth, Mars is considered the strongest contender for the existence of life in our solar system. On one hand, this planet is the home of science fiction and concepts of extraterrestrial life. At the same time, it is also being seen as an important hotspot for scientific research and development today. Although Mars looks completely deserted and barren like a graveyard, there are countless secrets buried beneath its lifeless surface. Those secrets include the ones that destroyed this once lively world, turning it into a wasteland instantly. In fact, whatever scientists have understood so far about the structure of Mars and its atmosphere, most of it has come from studying the soil and rocks of this planet, and today, this very soil of Mars has revealed some secrets, which also holds the mystery of the lost water here. In fact, recently, scientists, based on the evidence, it is being estimated that when Mars actually lost its atmosphere, the atmospheric pressure here dropped drastically. As a result, instead of 99% of the water evaporating into the sky as vapor, we all know that water, or aqua, is a compound formed by the combination of two different elements, hydrogen and oxygen. In the chemical formula of water, not just one but two different cases can exist. The first one is the one we commonly see. Yes, the same water that you drink, that you see falling from the sky, and which commonly exists naturally on our planet Earth. But apart from this normal water, there is also a neutron present, whereas in a normal hydrogen molecule, only a single proton exists. At the quantum level, the presence of these particles has a massive impact on real-life situations. Water made from the combination of deuterium atoms is called heavy water because it is actually denser and heavier than normal water. But here's an interesting thing. This thing called deuterium exists very rarely in the entire universe. In fact, if we say that the amount of deuterium in this universe is as little as a single drop in a vast ocean, that would be accurate. In the case of Mars, the situation is a bit different. Since hydrogen is extremely light, during the atmospheric collapse on Mars, all the hydrogen quickly escaped from the atmosphere and was released into space. But its twin, deuterium, which is several times heavier, remained trapped there, and now all the speculation is about that leftover deuterium. The year 1975 was the first time a spacecraft successfully landed on the surface of Mars. It stayed there and conducted a lot of research. The soil of Mars was also examined by LIJAR, and evidence of life was searched for in the lifeless atmosphere of Mars. Since then, National Aeronautics and Space Administration and many other space agencies around the world have sent numerous missions to Mars. Now, whether it's in the form of robotic landers and rovers or orbiters keeping an eye on Mars from space, humans humans have always shown interest in searching for life on Mars, and the most important element for life to develop, water. In this series, most scientific missions aim to find water on Mars and related evidence. Data from the ExoMars orbiter of the European Space Agency introduced us to a massive reservoir of water present in Valles Marineris, the largest canyon on Mars. Not only that, some of the most senior National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientists researching Mars have even believed that a very large lake, Junk. Its area is about 41,000 kilometers. 40% of its solid surface is made up of ice formed by the freezing of Martian water. Apart from this, the TGO orbiter orbiting Mars, during the mapping of elements at the place called Condor, found that high-value deuterium is still present in Mars's atmosphere and geosphere today, which, when combined with oxygen, would have formed rivers and lakes just like on our Earth. The weather must have been pleasant and beautiful, and perhaps there were some Martians here to witness this stunning scenery. After seeing this pattern of Mars's water connection, did you understand anything? Don't you think that these events happening one after another can't just be a coincidence? Exactly. Every time, in every search, a different place on Mars was targeted, and every time, traces of water were found at a different location. Anyway, if we talk about the most recent and revolutionary development, it's Mars. Recently, with the help of the Trace Gas Orbiter's Fine Resolution Epithermal Neutron Detector instrument, T to Mars went there, the location, and IS. In the results, it can be clearly seen what the rate of neutron emission is in different parts of Mars. In this illustration, the extreme Let's blue zones indicate intense neutron emission linked to water beneath Mars' surface. In fact, the more water there is beneath the surface of Mars, the higher the emission of neutrons from that area will be. These neutrons are part of the planetarium, and because of high zonal unity, they move on the surface and in the air. And using this revolutionary technology, it was confirmed that in most regions of Mars, water is still present beneath the ground. Now, whether it's just a few inches below the surface or several kilometers deep, only future missions that will dig there will be able to reveal this. Until then, what we can do is share our thoughts with each other. So make sure to share your opinion about this in the comment section. And friends, if you liked today's video, don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. If you're new to Documentary Library, subscribe and enable the bell to get astronomy and space science videos. Friends, see you in another informative video. Until then, stay curious, be happy, and goodbye.